All right, welcome back. So now that we have talked a bit about sales funnels, let's try to identify the sales channels that will work best for you. So a channel is basically a different way for you to approach or find clients. So for example, cold calling, trying to get into retail, having an e-commerce website, LinkedIn, maybe it's through Facebook, maybe it's through Google, through AdWords or SEO, maybe it's through trade shows, right? Every single business will have a different channel that will be most optimal for them. So if you do come across any marketing agency that says that they will apply a generic framework with you, where they might say, we'll set up your Facebook account, your Instagram account, your LinkedIn accounts, like don't listen to what they're saying. You want to identify the channels that work best for you and go with that instead of trying to do all the setups that might not really be necessary for you. So how do you figure out which channel is the right channel for you? First off, when you are identifying channels, you want to know where your customer currently goes to seek this type of solution for these types of products or services. So go where your customers are naturally going. If your customer will naturally go onto LinkedIn to find something like this, then you need to be on LinkedIn. If your customer will never go to Facebook to look for this kind of solutions, then don't waste your time on Facebook, right? So start there. And then the next thing to do is for each channel that you decide you want to go with, you want to measure two things. So one is your cost of acquisition on those channels. So you want to understand, like, for each channel, let's say if you're going to a trade show, what expenses do you put into a trade show and how many customers do you get out of that? So what is your cost of acquisition for a customer? So once you start to map that out, you'll be able to identify which channels work best. And then another thing to keep a close eye on is the time to conversion in the channel. So do certain channels convert more quickly? Do certain channels convert more slowly? That's usually because different channels might address customers at different stages. So for example, if you are saying you're trying to go after a customer that's in the early stages of the decision-making process, in the awareness stage, if you remember the sales map that we built previously, certain channels work better over there, for example, blog posts. But a blog post is not likely to convert someone very quickly because you're addressing someone who is early in the decision-making process. Make sense? Cool. So let's talk a bit about some of the categories that some of the channels fall under. So when you talk about sales activities, there are three things. So there's the seeds, the nets, and the spears. So seeds are things that are slowest to convert, but they're very important because they're relatively powerful. They're also very passive, and you don't really have to work on creating new seeds all the time. So they provide long-term and sustainable results. They're usually educational in nature. So for example, thought leadership, blogging, video content, putting out podcasts, going on speaking engagements, having good SEO, that's all seeds. Nets then are things that are medium in speed to convert. Nets target customers typically in the consideration stage or when they're actively seeking solutions. So most traditional marketing methods fall under nets. So for example, paid ads, affiliate programs, influencer marketing, email drip campaigns, workshop or webinar funnels, those typically fall under the category of nets. And then spears are the fastest convert. Spears go after customers who are most likely to convert, and typically most outbound activities fall under the category of spears. So for example, cold calling, email outreach, attending trade shows, direct sales, right? So you want to ensure that you have things in place for all three. But if you remember what I mentioned before, as an early startup, focus more on the outbound side of things. So focus more on spears. You want to spend about 80% of your time on spears and maybe 20% on both nets and seeds. And you'll gradually build these seeds and nets over time. And like I mentioned, just make sure you attach a good cost of acquisition on each channel so that you can assess if the channel is working, if it's the right channel, if you need to switch channels, things like that. So that's it for channels. And next week, we're going to come back. I'm going to be talking a bit about differences in sales between B2B and B2C, both with process, methods, and different ways for you to find and prospect your leads. So tune in next week to hear more about B2B versus B2C sales.